Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. We are doing this the day of the game. We were going to do this yesterday, but kind of just really ran out of time ultimately. So here we are in the early afternoon here. Myself, Daniel J. Good to see everybody in the chat. Jared Devil, as always, Claude, Steelers fan, George, Jennifer, Devin, Afton. What's going on, guys? Hopefully you guys are having a good Saturday, a good start to your weekend, everything like that. Anybody else who is not in the comment section, welcome to the show. Good to see you guys. Daniel, what's on the agenda for today, my friend?
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be taking on the Buffalo Bills a little bit later on today in the dress rehearsal game. You know, it's a game that, we're expected to see the starters for at least a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, and get a real good view of what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the 2023 season, at least for the first portion of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's honestly kind of nice to say that because I'm very glad that they shortened the NFL preseason. When they did that a couple years ago, I was hoping that it would have just been 2 games. But I'm fine with 3 instead of 4. Four
Right.
games felt like too long. It just felt like too much. I think it was a little unnecessary to have that 4th game. So now that game 2 is kind of that game of, rather than like when they had 4 preseason games, it was the 3rd game.
Right.
So it's kind of nice that we only have, after this game, we have 1 more preseason game, and that's going to be a wrap. Thank God they're done Latrobe. My God, thank God they're done there. And I mean that just because once that's out of the rearview mirror, we're getting pretty close.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very exciting. Afton is going to the game, so Afton, enjoy the game today. Have a good time. Be safe traveling up there. So that will be that will be enjoyable, being able to see the starters out there at home. But Daniel, so kind of the difference with this one, we're going to see a lot of the starters. Buffalo's can play their starters. From what I read, it's maybe a quarter and a half. They're going to play a lot of their guys for. So even though this is preseason, Devin, no, I'm not going to go in the home opener. I went to the home opener 2 years ago, and I missed half of the first quarter because of traffic. It was a freaking miserable time. So I think I'm closing out home openers for myself. But anyway, I know you'll be there. But gonna be a little bit different for this time around in game 2 of the preseason because of who's going to be playing more. We know we're going to see pretty much mostly of everybody. But even though this is preseason, there's still things to look for. It's still going to be, if we, depending how the first team guys on offense and on the defensive side play. Not that it's going to be, nor should it really be like a overreaction necessarily, but you at least want them to kind of be gelled in together, and you want to see some good things as they start getting closer to the head of the season. So, Daniel, what are you excited about? What are you excited to watch about today?
First thing I'm excited to see is Calvin Austin III play some special teams. And Coach T kind of commented earlier this week in press conferences that last week they let the younger guys go in there to get the special teams reps, and that this game he wanted to see Calvin Austin specifically and Anthony McFarland, returning kicks and punts. And so I'm excited about that matchup or what they're going to be able to bring. And defensively, I think everybody is excited to finally see what Joey Porter Jr. is going to be able to do and put together on the field.
Right.
You know, I know I am. I can't wait to see him,
Yep.
out there. He's got a very tough opponent, going up against, you know, um, Josh Allen and is Stephon Diggs playing?
I think so.
Yeah. So
I think he's gonna
I,
play
I'd
a little
like
bit.
to I like to see him go up against him. See, you want to see what he can do against the top tier of the NFL and see where they
Right.
line up, see where they match
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And we're going to be able to see a little bit of a glimpse of what they're going to do with their secondary, what the Steelers are going to do with their secondary a little bit, because it seems like everybody's going to be playing. So probably going to see, well, I don't want to say we're going to see a handful of things because they're really only going to play a quarter probably. But still, even if we just get a little glimpse of maybe Patrick Pearson, where's he going to be at, right? Where's
Mhm.
Um, are they going to fit in Sullivan any kind of way? Elijah Riley, Kazi, I believe John O'Neill is healthy still, right? He's healthy again.
Yeah. Everybody, all
Yes,
those that you
they're
mentioned
good
are
to go.
healthy.
Right.
I think Herbig, and it was Nate Herbig, the guy on the line, not the one on the defense.
Yeah.
He has a shoulder injury that's just bumps and bruises, but he's going to be out. Trey Norwood's going to probably be out. Larry Ogunjobi is going to be out. I think that's all that I
Probably about it.
remember.
Yeah. Ogunjobi, that's okay. He needs to kind of just get himself healthy. We know what he can bring to the table. But do you think Norwood being out is kind of a, I don't know, just kind of a I don't really know how I want to say it. Not necessarily even like a missed opportunity, but a little bit more than that. Like kind of just like a big hit for him not being able to suit up and really only being able to maybe have one game being able to show if he can be this team or not.
Well, he's going to have the last game. Did he not play in the preseason opener?
I think he was in there a little bit, but yeah, he will have the last game. But still,
Yeah.
like if you're on the roster bubble and even missing one of the games still hurts a little bit.
Yeah, he's on he's on the line. He's a guy that could be in danger of losing a spot, especially if there's a guy like Elijah Riley that's showing up, or anybody else that's coming through. In this game, keep your eyes on like an Elijah Riley, you know, um, probably James Pierre uh, in the special teams role, because that's where um, excuse me, that's where he shines, I guess, as a player. So him missing Trey Norwood, him missing some time at this point, I think it's huge. I think
Mhm.
it's absolutely huge. He's like I said, he's on the borderline of possibly being off the team,
Yeah.
but it's going to give other players an opportunity, and it's going to we'll be able to see if somebody really does show up, especially on special teams, and they don't get killed on defense or they look good on defense. That could be a situation, because it was the Buffalo Bills last year. Gabe, what's his name? Gabe Davis.
Mhm.
That that killed Trey
Lit us up.
Norwood over the top.
Yeah.
It was Trey Norwood that was in coverage there that just couldn't keep up on that 98. Was it 98, 96, somewhere
Something
around
like
there?
that.
Yard touchdown that was just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
so, let's see if they can do it without Trey Norwood.
Yeah.
If the guy, whoever's replacing him, is in there, and that doesn't happen today, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Ron, what's going on? What's going on, man? Good to see you in the chat. See that you had to make a new channel. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, I'm really excited just to see some of the linebackers again today, starting off. How they can utilize all three of those guys. And yeah, we'll see like if maybe Calvin Austin gets a little bit more too of first team reps. Maybe I like to see a little bit of Darnell Washington get thrown in there, a little bit more into the mold for the second game. Big question here: do we see Kendrick Green today?
Hopefully not on the line. I wouldn't mind seeing him if he's in the the fullback position.
Yeah.
I want to see that, but
Yeah.
is that enough to give him a 53-man roster spot?
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
a gimmick of a the situational football, how often do you think the Steelers are going to throw him out there and utilize him?
One play.
One play a game. I don't even know if that's stretching it for me. I think he comes out maybe one every 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Special situations.
What's the point of even having that on your team?
Exactly. And so, his importance, that gimmick of what he brings, it was cool, but it was also dependent on the fact that he could be a dependable interior offensive lineman. And so far, he's not showing that. Now, he's had his moments, apparently, like in camp. He actually beat Keanu Benton. And to the point where people were questioning Keanu Benton, like, whoa, is this guy like a bust or something? He's struggling with Kendrick Green. And then he goes out there and just is a destructive person on the field. I think he's another one that might not play. I think he had an ankle injury. But
yeah, I didn't really see on Keanu Benton if he was going to play or not. Maybe he's a game time decision, possibly.
I hope he does. Does.
No, for sure. Do you think we'll see Broderick Jones at all in the first quarter?
I would hope so. If you don't, I think that's going to be a pretty big tall tale that he's not going to probably play this season unless there's some sort of injury. Now, I think he's up regardless, which tackle goes down. Obviously, if Dan Moore goes down, he'd replace Dan Moore. But I think if Chukwuekorfor goes down, I think Dan Moore would be kicked out to the right side, and then Broderick would come into the left side.
Do you think it would just be disappointing and possibly a failure? Not a failure of a pick, not a failure of a player, but just a failure of the first season if he doesn't play at all?
No, the guy's very young. I think he's like 21 years old, and you have a 5-year thing with him. I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? You have a guy in Dan Moore that has elevated his game to the point where he is, holding off the rookie and allowing that rookie to catch up. I think it's pretty good, in my opinion. I don't see it as a bad thing, as a negative thing. Here eventually, I think probably by next season, he's probably going to be the starting guy, regardless of anything. But, to think that he's not going to get his opportunity this year and that both tackles are going to be healthy again for all 17 games and everything, in that situation, it's unlikely. I think he's going to get an opportunity to go in. And when he does, if he shows up, he'll stay. But I think that if he doesn't get any time tonight with the ones, I think that's chalk it up. He's not going to play.
Right. Well, I think I still don't have enough confidence in Dan Moore until I see some of it more on the field. It's good to hear some positivity coming out of him from training camp. But I would not be surprised if Broderick Jones does not start week 1. I would not be surprised if there's some poor play that he gets plugged in sooner than later.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if there's some poor play, I think he does. But Dan Moore has been a guy that's kind of shown up against some of the he's played up to the competition, and he's also played down. You know what I mean? And so, for instance, Dan Moore is like kryptonite for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett can't do anything to Dan Moore. Nobody knows why, but it's true. Go look at the stats.
You know what's funny with with Myles Garrett and stuff like that is that when people want to say he's like the best edge rusher, they'll show just his pass rush rate. And okay, congratulations. Well, where's the finishes? Where's the stats that show him finishing those plays?
Yeah.
That's my argument. You can show his pass rush rate percentage all you want. Where's the Defensive Player of the Year award? Guy's been in the league since 2017.
True.
Where's it at? I would love to know. So I don't really understand the narrative in the sense it seems like the only thing that will be presented in the sense of somebody saying that he's the best or something like that is a pass rush winning percentage. That's all I see. I don't see anything else.
Yeah,
I think
no,
he's
you're
a great
absolutely
player.
right.
I think he's a great player. Absolutely is. There's no question about that. But if you're going to put him up there with Bosa and Watt and even a Micah Parsons, I'm not seeing any finishing.
So do you think he's overrated? Would you call him overrated?
Okay. I don't think he's overrated as just a player in general, but I think that Browns fans in the media overrate the heck out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, yeah. But as a player, I think he's just kind of, I think he's really good, but I don't think he's at the level of a couple of the other guys.
Why do you think that is? Why are the Browns that team that are like these paper champions? I mean,
Right.
and I just got the Madden 24, and I was looking at the ratings of the teams. The freaking Browns are kind of up there high.
Yeah.
You know, for a team that went, what did they go, like 6-11 last year?
Yeah, something like that.
Their quarterback has been complete, turd last season. From the sounds of it, he hasn't done anything this year.
Yeah.
So
no. I don't know, man. I think aside from it just being Cleveland fans in general, I think anybody with the media, I think they just kind of look at what Watson did in the past. But even at that point, like other than 2020, when you look at Watson's numbers, like they're good, but they're not anywhere in the sense of upper echelon quarterback territory.
So does this mean that come round 5, 7 of the fantasy draft, you're not going to be selecting a Deshaun Watson?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Dude, anybody in our league, man, can freaking have the guy. I'm going to say he gets drafted, but it's not going to be like early.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think somebody will draft him as like their second quarterback just in case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, the thing with Browns fans is, I think like just stay in your lane, dude. Stay in your lane. Like seriously, humble yourself. Have some humility. You guys are just an ass of an organization. Until that's proven on the field and shown consistently, stay in your lane.
I agree. 100%.
I don't understand where they think that they can come from and talk about. Of course, they can say whatever they want, but I don't really think many people take them seriously.
Well, Madden apparently does.
Well, Madden every year is a freaking joke, dude. I mean, the fact that they have TJ Watt as a 94 overall is criminal.
I agree.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I got to go in there.
He's rated the same as Max Crosby. So you're telling me that they are just as good as one another. Max Crosby's just as good as TJ Watt, then that's what you're telling me.
Right. I mean, Max Crosby is a good player, but he's not. I would have swapped. Like, isn't Myles Garrett the top guy?
Mm-hmm.
See, I would have swapped their ratings, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, and been happy with it.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett at 94 and being the same as Max Crosby. I would have agreed to that.
Yeah. Well, again, pass rush rate, Daniel. So you got to walk on a thin line there. That pass rush win rate is the ultimate statistic when it comes to an edge rusher.
Oh, well, they can keep that rate. I'll keep a defense that actually gets things done.
I'll keep the actual statistics and the production happening rather than just winning a pass rush win rate. Congratulations. Anyway, aside from the Browns, we're not going to talk about the Browns in this episode. Just look at their logo. Look at their colors.
Yeah.
Look at the city they're in. I mean, that's all you got to know. But when we look at really the game today, offensively, I think we know they only did one drive last week, and offensively, we're going to see a little bit more. We're going to see a little bit, maybe more of maybe what's new, a little bit of Matt Canada if he's going to cook anything up. How confident are you, Daniel, in Matt Canada in his final season?
I don't think it's going to be his final season, so I guess I'm pretty confident. I think there's been a little bit of a buzz coming around camp that the play calls are different. Mm-hmm. They're more imaginative, and I think he knows that. And I think he knows that in order to keep his job, he's going to have to create some splash put up 25, 28 points a game. And in order to do so, like I said, he's going to have to create that splash. And I think he's going to end up calling some more, no risk it, no biscuit type of plays. And, I think that's what we're going to see. But what about you? What would happen, if in the first quarter, Buffalo ends up going up like 17-0 on the Pittsburgh Steelers? What would you start to think? Would you panic? Would you worry?
It's a good question. Definitely not going to panic. It's preseason. It's these guys' first kind of game since January.
Right.
So I'm not going to I wouldn't overreact. I would just say if they're not really quite where they need to be against San Francisco, it might be a little ugly.
Right.
And so if that's the case, if that's what will happen, you're going to have a lot of people overreacting, of course.
Yeah. That's going to happen a lot.
It is. But even though this is preseason, I still want to say this is a little bit of a big game because you're going up against a team like Buffalo, who the last 3 years or so has been one of the better teams in the AFC, and they're playing really most of their guys. So even though it's preseason and everything like that, it's still a big game because you're facing a team that, if you want to be a team this year and going forward, being able to compete with some of these guys in the AFC, you got to be able to put up a battle. So even if it's preseason, you still want to hold your own. You still want to be able to play them well, however, depending whatever they give you, whatever they're putting out there. You want to be able to be able to hang. Yeah. So if it's the case of what you said, aside from people overreacting, because that always just goes with the territory, really, for really any team, there might be a little bit of like concern there, but you just kind of have to like let just the beginning of the year play out ultimately, I think. And I just that's kind of really the rest of the case right there. Like, okay, I understand maybe he's a little bit concerned facing up against a team like Buffalo, and you're letting just the ball go down the field and scoring up the points against the defense that we know is supposed to be really good. So you want to hold your own against them, even though it's preseason. You want to be able to show yourselves as a team, the organization, fans, like, hey, we're going to be, this is just a little glimpse, you know what I mean? Of right. what's to come. So I wouldn't overreact, but there maybe just be some things like, okay, you guys just got to freaking get this stuff together before the season starts.
And if it goes the other way, Steelers come out 17.
Well, then we're all throwing a party at the end of the day.
Everybody's gonna overreact. You see, I asked you the downside first because I wanted to hear if you're gonna overreact. Yeah. But if the Steelers jump up early, I would think that that's an indication of all right, this team is starting to build their chemistry together, right?
Right.
There's no planning involved in these type of games, and there's no secrets that are being divulged. And so if the Steelers went down 17-0 right away, my thoughts are right away I'm going to come up with the excuse that it's preseason, there's no planning. The weaknesses that the team has that would typically be planned for, to protect against, they're not happening in this game. They don't want other teams to know how they plan on, this team to protect any weakness they have. Like, for instance, if 2-4 ends up being an issue and they need to utilize Darnell Washington more on the outside on that side to help protect on passing, downs. Well, if you see that in preseason, that they're utilizing him that way, come week 1, when the 49ers come into town and they see Darnell Washington coming out to the right side, that might be an indication that this is going to be, they're protecting him for a pass or run or whatever. There might be some tells there. And so because of that, they're not going to be, showing any of those hands. And the same goes for the opposition. So if the Steelers come out and or whoever comes out, and if there is some sort of domination, I think that has more to do with chemistry, and that has more to do with you know how long some of those core group players have worked together. So I wouldn't be surprised, just kind of breaking it down that way, if the Steelers struggle in this game. But if it were to have been like an actual real game, I think it'd probably be a lot closer.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really just going to be one of those things. Like, if that would be the case where there's just some struggle in the first quarter and stuff like that, yeah, it can just be like a chemistry thing, just haven't really gotten the feet wet. Um,
Right,
maybe
because
some game planning, stuff like that.
I would hold it more, for like if the Steelers come out and start, just moving the ball down the field, given the fact that your quarterback's only in his second year, your running back and your tight end are now in their third year, so I would consider them, on the experienced end. But you got George Pickens who's coming also into his second year. You got a lot of new players and like Siamalu, Broderick Jones, who knows, he might be a starter. Uh, you have all these new guys. If they're able to do that at this point, I think that speaks more than if Buffalo, comes in and is able to move the ball down the field, because,
Yeah.
their key players, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, they've worked together for an extended amount of time. So they're familiar with their offense and things like that. So in this game, I would hold it. I would think more of the Steelers going down the field and dominating, if that were to happen, than if Buffalo did. I don't think it'd be as big of a deal.
Right. No, I hear you, man. Yeah, I think that'd be the case too, because like everybody knows kind of what Buffalo is and stuff like that. And if Buffalo would kind of struggle early on, the Steelers would kind of get ahead well and stuff like that. Just be like, well, we know what Buffalo's going to be able to be at the end of the day. Steelers are unproven right now, man. They got a lot of young talent. They're unproven, a lot of new faces. So, yeah, I think there'd definitely be more of a takeaway in terms of the Steelers' favor than Buffalo, if that would be the case. But if the Steelers would, if the roles would be reversed and the Steelers would go up big, stuff like that, I think we all would be overreacting, going crazy.
For sure. I mean, I think there'd be a new song, something about Stairway to Seven be coming up. Wow. So welcome to State of the Steelers. I'm the only person here. I'm not sure what happened to Nathan there, but you're all right.
Good. Yep, we're good. We're back. We're good. Just a little blimp out on that one.
No problem.
Can you hear me okay? We good?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
All right, cool. Yeah, sorry, just a little quick blip out of here real quick for a second. But yeah, no, dude, it's still gonna be fun. Like that, that's what I mean. Like there's people who don't really care about preseason, but I still think that it's still important. The fact that preseason is implemented in the NFL, like college football doesn't have it, high school doesn't have it, but the NFL does, and I still think it's important. Like you're getting yourself back on the field, trying to get things situated with your offense, your defense, and get yourself ready for the first game of the year. People trying to fight for a roster spot, people trying to take advantage of an opportunity that they haven't had yet. Rookie guys that you're excited to see, maybe some new signings, getting adjusted with their team. Like there's things that go into it, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that it is important as well. If you go back to the year that TJ Watt tied the single sack record, he didn't play the preseason, I don't believe. And he didn't play majority of the training camp. And that year he suffered a lot of soft tissue injuries, groins and things like that. And, he was still able to get the sack, tie the sack record. Can you imagine if he was healthy that year? But,
yeah,
I think there would be a lot more of those soft tissue issues if there wasn't a preseason.
Yeah.
If there wasn't like a ramp up to getting physically hit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like for instance, in Miami, Tua, who had a couple of concussions last year, he's been apparently getting hit like all off season because I guess, well, you go through as a quarterback, you go through training camp, you don't get hit. Practices, you really don't get hit.
Mhm.
And then you go into a game and they start hitting you. Your body's not used to it as
Yeah.
compared to other players on the team.
Yeah.
And so, in order to prepare himself and to learn how to fall and things of that nature, he's been getting hit all off season.
Mhm.
So, I think there might be something to that, especially in the quarterback position, a position that if, your quarterback's hurting, if he's getting hit a few times,
Right.
that can equal to some poor play.
Right. No, I hear you, man. I agree. I think that's a good thing that they're doing. Somebody
Mhm.
like that who's really injury prone, who's had some bad injuries in college, who's had injuries so far in his young career. Absolutely it
Mhm.
is. Speaking of quarterbacks, Daniel, Mason Rudolph outperforms Mitch Trubisky. What do you think? Do you think there might be a little something there or no?
I thought they should have done that in the offseason. I would have been more. I think that was the move that I was surprised the most is that Mitch Trubisky came back.
Mhm.
I thought he was, especially
Yeah.
the way he left and everything
Yeah, we
else. I
talked
thought,
about that too.
I thought he was going to be, the Saints quarterback or something. And, um, I thought maybe perhaps because, Mason didn't play bad last preseason. He's got a winning record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think he's thrown more touchdowns than interceptions. And so, although his stats aren't like amazing or anything like that, he's not going to kill you. Right. And that's kind of what you want in a backup quarterback who has to come in and, just kind of hold the reins for hopefully a couple of plays, but if, he has to finish the game, he's not going to be the reason why you lose. Right.
Mhm.
And Mason takes care of the ball. I think he does a good job at that. And last season, when we saw Mitch Trubisky come in against the Baltimore Ravens, it was just turnover city. This preseason game, he was turning the ball over again.
Mhm.
And, it's just, I think it's the same story. And I think the Steelers they could have saved themselves some money had they just let him go and find his own way and then maybe sign Mason to a 2 or 3 year deal as a backup.
Do you think that there's a possibility Mitch isn't second string, or you think it's going to be like last year, pretty much where regardless what happens, Mitch is going to be the backup?
I mean, given the amount of money he's making compared to Mason, I don't see it happening, especially since you don't expect Mitch to actually get on the field, right?
Yeah.
So now, in the event that if something were to happen, like let's just say Mason or Pickett goes down for like 2-3 games or whatever,
Mhm.
high ankle sprain or something. I think at that point there might be a question, or I think that at the very least, that leash is very short. If he goes out there and starts throwing some interceptions, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mason come in the game.
Yeah. I know. I hear you.
What do you
I don't
think?
know.
Who would you?
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this?
I don't know, man. Like it's funny because I'm not even a Mason hater. Like I'm really not. I just kind of just real about the situation. Um, I think Mason's a decent backup quarterback. I think he's somebody who can make a career out of being a number 2 or number 3 in the league. And whether it's Mitch or Mason, honestly, I don't really care. I think both are guys that are just backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And whichever one can give you a little bit more of a better chance, that's the one I'm going with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that regardless of how they play in the preseason, I don't think that there's really any way Mason starts the season as the second string. Like you said, I think with what they're paying Mitch, that Mitch has been he started in this league for 4 years or so, 5 years, 4.5, I guess. He's been in the playoffs once or twice. They're probably, that you just go off of that rather than what Mason's done. Regardless of how Mason played, I just like that dude. That's how I felt last year. Is that regardless how anybody played last year, Mitch was going to start.
Yeah. There was zero chance that anybody
No,
else
there
was going to
wasn't,
start.
and it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. This year, I feel the same way, except for just who's going to be the backup.
Right.
So, like, I'm somebody who it was like, hey, man, if Mason's going to be decent, if he's going to be able to be a backup quarterback, great. If not, then whatever. So, kind of just who's ever going to give you the best opportunity, who's ever suited better for that spot. I'm good with either one, but it's hard to see. It's hard to see Mason take that over with what they're giving Mitch, to be honest, and especially Mitch's track record versus Mason's.
Right. Now, if Mitch were to go down for whatever reason, right? Let's just say Kendrick Green is playing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't laugh at that, but there's a good possibility if Kendrick Green is in the game as your center. Yeah, if he's there in the game as your center, there's a good chance.
Oh, goodness.
So, if he were to go down, Mason comes in. Do you think the Steelers go out and get another quarterback?
It's possible just because of Tanner Morgan. Like, he looked awful.
Yeah, he did look. He looked awful. He looked bad.
So it's definitely possible, just in the sense of maybe keeping a Tanner Morgan on a practice squad or something, and then maybe just getting a third quarterback, somebody maybe who's been in the league for a couple years. But that's possible. Mason would definitely be the backup for sure, though.
You think Mason would get that second spot? They wouldn't.
Yeah, if something would happen with Mitch, yeah, for sure. I don't see how he wouldn't. I kind of feel bad for the guy too, because I think he's done a really good job as just being a good teammate and a good professional. Especially with a lot of hate and flack he gets from fans. Like, I don't think people should be booing him on the field. Like when last year when he's come out for preseason getting booed or something like that. Like, I understand if he's freaking in the game and he's just freaking garbage. Like, I get that. Even though he's on the team, like, people got to hear it. Like, fans aren't just going to sit there and just take that.
But I don't necessarily think they were booing Mason. I think they were booing the fact that it wasn't Kenny Pickett. So the boos weren't directed towards Mason. I think they were directed towards the decision, and that being whoever decided to put him there instead of Kenny.
Yeah,
so
could have been that.
Because I wasn't there, obviously, and I didn't boo, but I was. If I were to have been there and booing, I would have been booing the decision.
Yeah,
because I'm like, what are you doing? This is the first quarterback selected in the entire draft, regardless of the draft class or whatever the case may be. The Steelers were going to go up there and trade up and try to get him at 15 or even higher a couple of times, that's been reported. So this is a guy that was, you as a Steelers organization was surprised that he was going to be there. And, you have him as number 3. Now I get it. Like, you're going to try to, make him earn it.
The whole situation last year was terrible.
Yeah. Now that we think about it, like a full year removed, it just seems like it was just such bad decision making.
It was. It definitely was. Tomlin just wanted to play the safe route, man. Had a veteran quarterback his entire coaching career, wanted to stick with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was just terrible. I like Tomlin, but it's okay to admit you made a mistake.
Yeah. I think that they should have gone in, kind of done it with like what they're doing with Anthony Richardson. Yeah, they named him 100%. The starter right away. That way, 100%. There's no question. There's no nothing.
Yeah,
he's come in now. Everything is all right. Let's tailor fit this offense to your liking, and I think that's what they should have done last year. They didn't. You can't change it, but a year removed, it does seem like some decisions. I think that if they could have been done again, probably wouldn't be done the same way.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think. I think definitely that there would have been a different direction with it. So I don't know, dude. That whole situation was a freaking mess last year. But we're gonna, Ollie, what's up, man? Appreciate tuning in. But yeah, we're not gonna have to go down that path this year, thank God. I think things have gone a lot smoother. Things have been pretty good in the sense of, just Kenny being able to have the full off season, sit with Canada, training camp, blah, blah, blah. You see that DJ and Pickens are grown comfortably with him. So I think there's some things to look forward to, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
No, for sure. Where's when Calvin Austin comes in the field, he's usually playing the outside, right? or is he playing more in the slot from what you remember?
From what I saw when he came in last game, I didn't really see him much on the inside.
It was mainly on the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he's on the outside, and they primarily, I think that was his primary position in college, was the outside. I know a lot of folks are thinking he's going to be maybe the future at the slot receiver. I don't think that's the case. I think that.
Yeah.
I think he might be. I think the Steelers might be grooming him to replace Deontay when his contract is up.
Doesn't he have one more year after this year, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Calvin Austin's really small.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he's super small. And I don't really see him really being a starting caliber wide receiver. I don't. I think that he's going to be a good 3, number 4, where you're going to be able to utilize him in certain points of a game with his speed, being able to get down the field, punt returns possibly, maybe certain sweeps, things like that. I don't see him replacing anybody as a starter on this team. I really don't. And I don't just because, like, that type of size, you never see anybody in the NFL be a number 1, number 2 wide receiver with that kind of size.
Wasn't Tyreek Hill about his size?
I mean, he's a little bigger.
I think well, he looks to be a little thicker, but I think he's about 5'9", 5'8", Tyreek Hill. But he looks thicker, but he's a small guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's that short though. I maybe like a 5'10", 5'11", or something like that. I don't think he's 5'8".
I'm gonna look it up. But then again, when you look it up, they lie so much. I think they had Devin Bush listed like at 6 foot.
Yeah,
and I've seen that guy. He's shorter than me, and I'm not 6 foot.
Devin Bush.
Yeah, that guy's like 5'10", 5'9" himself. He's a small guy.
Yeah.
More 5'10". Yeah. So according to his like Wikipedia, he's 5'10".
Who, Devin Bush?
Hill. No, Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Yeah. The thing though is that, like, I'm not gonna make a conclusion on what they're gonna do with Calvin Austin. The guy hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to see what they do with him this year and everything like that. But I don't really see him being somebody that's going to develop into a top tier wide receiver.
Right.
Not to say that he won't like do good things or that he won't be a good 3 or 4 guy. But I don't see it, dude. You don't really find success of wide receivers being higher end guys at 5'8", 5'9". It just doesn't happen unless you're just a freak. Like, it just doesn't happen. Receivers are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot or taller than that, 6'3", 6'4".
There was a little bit of controversy about his speed there, in the what was it, in the combine? Some people say he ran a 4.2 in the 40, which would be out of this world.
All right. Guy's freaking super fast, man. I would love to see him be able to get down the field this year, man. Burn some DBs and stuff like that. Utilize him in that way. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I want to see him do well, but
I don't see superstar out of Calvin Austin, but I do see a very productive player.
Yeah, if he can be that.
Yeah, I do see a productive player. So what was your question?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Every team, when we look at every team in the league, certain guys you're excited about, different guys they bring in. Not everybody's gonna work out.
Right.
Not everybody's gonna work out. Not everybody's gonna do well. Who are maybe a couple guys that you could see that, not to be negative, but to be realistic here. There's gonna be some guys the Steelers brought in this year, whether they're a rookie, whether they're a signing, and they're just not going to impress in year one. It's just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. Not everybody's gonna play off the wall. Not everybody's gonna play their best football they've ever played in their life. So who do you, maybe a couple guys that you see that being for the Steelers this year that might be might have a disappointing year or might be a disappointing signing year one maybe a rookie, maybe not in the fold quite yet, that might not see maybe some success the rookie year. I don't know. Who do you think that you can maybe see those guys being?
I mean, there's a lot of hype around Calvin Austin, like a lot of hype because of his speed. I don't think he's going to bust out or any of those things. I think he's going to play to his pedigree, 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that might not meet the expectations of the fan base.
Right.
The fan base thinks that he's pretty up there. Now, as far as, I think the Steelers have done a very good job about bringing in new talent.
Yeah.
Especially this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I like the draft. I like the direction that Andy Weidel and Omar Khan are taking this team. I guess I can say Corey Trice, but his is an injury. I think that had he played, it's going to be the same situation. He was expected to go in the 3rd round, 4th round, but he was drafted in the 7th. And I think people were holding him up to that 3rd round standard, even though he was a 7th round player.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he had an opportunity of being somebody that could have been a disappointment. We won't know this year. Patrick Peterson is a guy that I think he's up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sign of him slowing down, but can that happen at a certain point? Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to happen. I think he's going to be a great mentor to Joey Porter Jr. I think that he is a high caliber player, both athletically and cerebrally. So, he's got the brain aspect of the game, and he's come out and talked about it, that as his physical attributes diminish with age, his knowledge of the game and understanding of the game has increased, which has allowed him to continue to play at a high performance level.
Right.
And so, but Father Time wins all battles. You know what I'm saying? So
it does.
He's almost 34, 35.
Yeah, he'll be 34 next year.
So it's he's up there. What about yourself?
Who's somebody that I'm thinking I could honestly see disappointing is Atlanta Roberts. Kwan Alexander, I think, is eventually going to be. I know that Atlanta Roberts' last game was given the green dot.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Atlanta Roberts, when you look at what he's done, like, he's never been somebody that I look at as being a full-on starting caliber linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like if he's somebody that comes in certain packages, certain downs, stuff like that, okay. But if they're going to use him as an every down guy, if they're going to use him as somebody who's going to be on the field most of the time, calling the defense, I could see it disappointing, man. I could see it being like Miles Jack again. He hasn't really shown anything in his career to me. Like last year, he had the best year of his career, but even at that point, like, that's nothing. Like, it didn't really warrant to me is that this should be somebody that's our defensive play caller out there, that's out there every down.
Right.
And I hope I'm wrong on that. Like, obviously, I want everybody to play well. I want everybody to succeed and do what's on this team. But if we're going to be realistic, there's at least going to be a couple guys that don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens with every team. So I could see it being Atlanta Roberts, Cole Holcomb, Kwan Alexander. There's your two. Cole Holcomb starts calling the defense maybe. But I think really just a lot of it is really just basing off of his career so far is what I'm doing this with.
Mm-hmm.
He could come in here and this is a great fit for him and the way the system is and stuff like that. And he's somebody that we can sit and say, yeah, we needed a little bit of this at linebacker. Not even somebody that we can sit there and say, yeah, this has been the guy that we've been missing. But even if he's somebody that say, yeah, like certain qualities that he brings is what we've needed, great, fantastic. But with what he's done in his career in New England and Miami, it doesn't come off to me as somebody that's the main linebacker on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could maybe seeing it being like that, where he doesn't live up to that. Maybe he does some other good things, but he doesn't live up to, like, this guy shouldn't have the green dot and be the head of the linebacking group.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the green dot guy, but Mike Tomlin's pretty high on him. You know,
I hope he does well. That's not me saying like, oh, dude, I think he's gonna be that. If we're just gonna sit there and think of a couple guys that we could maybe see not being what we would hope to be, I'm just throwing a name out.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. I understand that aspect of it, and there's that good possibility there. But I think that, you know, Mike Tomlin's been really high on him this offseason. I think it was DK who came out and said this here recently, that when he was talking to some of the players in the locker room, that Mike Tomlin had came in and said, like, now this is the guy that you need to be talking to. And
Right.
He was referring to Landon Roberts. And so, you know, he's a thumper. I think he's probably the closest thing that the Steelers have had to Vince Williams in a while. And so I think he's not going to be the green dot guy, every down guy. I think he's going to be in a rotation with Quan Alexander, to be honest with you. I think Quan's going to come in there, you know, when there's, you know, when you want somebody that has a little bit better coverage ability, you know.
Right.
Now, if Quan can show up, and I think that would be a good problem, because so far he's shown that he can be a very aggressive thumper type of player. And, you know, but that's come with a lot of injuries over his career. So, you know, maybe limit those plays would extend and prolong his career, especially late in the season, and allow a guy like Landon Roberts to go in there that, you know, can be a thumper as well, and can get in there and mix it up. So I think that might be the object this season. But if you had to name one person on offense and defense that's going to have a breakout or a surprise year, who do you think it's going to be?
Just showing Ali's comment there. I'm just going to leave it at that. So. Oh, my God. Ollie, always love seeing you in the chat, my man. Always love seeing you in the chat. Offense, I'm saying George Pickens, man. I am on the Pickens hype train, bro.
Yeah.
I think he is going to have a great year too. I think he's going to show that he is somebody that's going to start transitioning into the upper tier of wide receivers. I think him and Kenny's, they're really good friends off the field. They work well. We even saw a little bit last year, this year in training camp from what we've seen and just their connection, what we even saw last week. Hopefully maybe we see a little glimpse of that again. I just like the guy's talent, man. I like his talent. I like his demeanor. I really think he's somebody that really in almost any kind of situation you could throw the ball to, and there's a high possibility he's going to come down with it.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, man. He's just somebody who has really good body control in the air. He's somebody who has speed that you want for wide receiver. Not saying he's the fastest guy in the league, but he's got some good speed there. We know he needs to get a little bit more crafty, a little bit more solid with his route running overall. But dude, he's just a freak of nature, man. And I really think that he has a really high level of being able to be somebody who transitions into that type of wide out this year. I really do. I'm also going to say for defense, a breakout type of guy. So I'm not going to count TJ. We know what he's capable of doing. Minka, not going to say because we know what he's capable of doing. Cam Hayward, obviously, we know what he's capable of doing. My breakout guy defensively this year, man, is going to be there's a couple guys that I could sit here and say that I have a nice inclination about. But if I can only go with one right now, this is a little tough. Jared Devil says Patrick Pearson. That'd be great. And dude, I've always loved Pat Pete since he was with the Cardinals, man. I'm going to say that this might be an easy answer a little bit, but I'm going to say Alex Highsmith has another kind of season that he had a little bit last year. Might not say the total sack amount that he had last year. What do you have? 14 sacks last year, right? Or 12 or something? 14?
14 and a half.
14 and a half. So he might not, especially with TJ playing, like he might not possibly hit that kind of level again at 14. But as long as TJ's on the field, man, he's going to eat again. And he's going to be able to show, he's going to be able to show, like, I might not be the number one, but I'm a dog. and
Yeah.
he's going to be able to show that into his 4th season. Got the big deal. He even had a good amount of forced fumbles last year, and he's always got his hands in there one way or another. He's really good with his hands. And I think that I'm going to go with him, not saying that he's going to lead our defense in all these different statistical categories, but I'm going to go with him that he's going to be able to show what he did last year. He's going to be able to duplicate that in some type of form again this year. You know what I mean? Like where it's not just like, okay, he has this one great year and then he kind of is going to just be back into being somebody who's just above average player. Like I think he's going to be able to keep a good pace.
Good. Yeah. I think so too. I think Alex Highsmith is gonna have a pretty good year.
Yeah.
For me, offensively, I think, a lot of people are down on Deontay Johnson. I've been no secret or no surprise that I've said that I think he's gonna have an MVP, Steelers MVP year, not NFL MVP year. I think he might end up being the Steelers MVP when it's all said and done.
Who'd you say?
Deontay Johnson.
Oh, Deontay. Yeah, I know you've been high on him.
I think he's going to be fed the ball a lot.
Redemption tour, baby.
Yeah. I think he's going to be fed the ball a lot. I think he's going to catch the ball a lot. But defensively, I think that the pass rush is going to be there. I think quarterbacks are going to be weary of throwing towards Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think DeMonte KZ is going to have a big season this year because he's going to have a lot of balls come in his direction.
A little bit of a hawk back there.
Yeah, he is a ball hawk. He's
flying around.
He's got ball skills. He's going to be flying under the radar. I don't think, even if he has 3-4 interceptions in the first, 9 games of the season, 10 games of the season, that second half, I still think that he would not get the respect he would, deserve because he's playing alongside Minkah, and he's going to get all that respect. So, I think DeMonte's going to have a really big year.
Well, he had some nice plays last year, man.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to end up being somewhere around. I say he has 6 interceptions this year.
Wow. Okay. So he's going to lead the team in picks.
I don't know about that, but I do think that he's going to be up there. He may end up leading the team in picks or being tied. I think that, Patrick Peterson may be a guy that's also targeted just because of his age, but he's going to have the ability to move around too.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I think some people are thinking with Patrick Peterson, man, like he's not going to be on the outside every single down.
Right.
He's not. Right. He's not. There'll probably be sometimes he gets burned. He's 33. He's not going to have the consistent speed, the consistent legs that he had with Arizona. But he's not just going to be on the outside the entire time. He's going to play a little bit of slot. You're going to see him a little bit in the backfield, a little bit more. So I think that's a great thing, and he's so open to that, which is fantastic. So I think when I understand some of the concern when it comes to him, but he's just got such a high IQ, and he's had such a great career, man. Like he doesn't need to even be in that spot every single time. Like you can put him in here, you can put him here, and you're probably going to see some type of success come out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
He's that kind of player, man. He's that kind of player.
And he mentioned, he mentioned that he's gotten all these picks, right? And he's always had his back to the quarterback because he's always been a man type of guy. And that last year he was able to play more zone, and he ended up having more picks than in a while. I think he had like 5 or 6 last year.
Right.
And so now that they want to move him into the slot, some at safety, he thinks he's going to be in pretty good position to get double-digit interceptions.
Oh, God. Wouldn't that be incredible?
That would be.
I think the Steelers have a good chance to lead the league in picks again this year.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not going to say they will because it's hard to do that like in duplicate years, but they'll at least be top 5 in picks, I think.
I think they'll have a better year than last year because there'll be pressure, and coverage go together.
Yeah, and you know who's another guy too that hasn't really been talked about is Marcus Golden. Not that he's going to play like a ton of snaps necessarily, but Marcus Golden, like when he was in Arizona, man, like he's made a name for himself when he was with the Cardinals. He had a couple good years there, and he's somebody who's I'm gonna tell you this right now, somebody who for quite a period of time myself. He is not Malik Reed. It is not going to be Malik Reed 2.0. So I'm not saying that Marcus Golden's going to come in and you're going to get better and you're going to see 9 sacks, but he's going to be more consistently.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me, Nathan, but your connection is wigging out. You sound like a robot.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That sounded normal.
Yeah, here we go. Oh my God! All right,
yeah, you're cutting out pretty good.
that'll be time of the show.
All right.
Can you hear me all right?
Nah, man, you sounding like a robot that's chopped and screwed.
Well, you can thank Xfinity for that one.
All right. So for those that aren't aware, I have a channel called State of the Steelers, and today for the game, I'll be doing play-by-play commentary. Did it last week for the first time. I'm going to do it this week. Last week was just the first half. This week I'm going to do the entire game. So check it out. If you want to, if you don't get the game and you want to hear what's going on, you won't be able to see it. And there's copyright issues with that. But I'll be talking about the game and try to do my best to give a pretty, good description about what's going on. And then if not, if you just want to listen to the commentary with the game, you can do that as well. I've done that before in the past with some of my other buddies who do the commentary thing during the game. Thank you, Jared Devil. I appreciate that. Daniel, they're not from Texas. They don't know. Oh yeah. That's true. So Chop and Screwed is I guess that is a Texas thing. It's a music, with music, what they do is they slow it down and then they'll like mix it and like scratch it or whatever it's called. and it's slowed down and it sounds kind of similar to what's going on there with Nathan. How did Hakeem Butler look in camps? Apparently he had like one good day. And then after that, it was a lot of like, it wasn't bad. It just, he didn't pop off the, screen or anything.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Unbelievable.
You got
shout out to Xfinity out there. Always a pain in the ass. Always a freaking pain in the ass. Unbelievable.
You might want to get away from dial up and maybe go to optic.
yeah, dial up. I might as well give dial up a try.
Just make sure nobody calls you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Can
you hear me okay, Daniel?
Yeah, we hear you good, loud and clear.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna end the show here in a minute. Just given the fact that I don't know how much longer my internet has, and we are over an hour here. But
so who do you think is gonna win? What are your predictions before we go away?
So we'll do that. We'll go with the predictions here. I'm gonna say, it's tough. I'm gonna say the Steelers take the L on this one today. I'm going to say that the offense does fairly well. I'm going to say that at least in the first quarter, Steelers will be able to score. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout or anything like that, but I'm going to say that once we see the starters go out and maybe Buffalo might keep a couple guys in there a little bit longer, or I don't know, just given the fact of what are we going to get from Mitch? Given the fact of what are we going to get from the second, third team offense? I give Buffalo a little bit of the upper hand here because they do have some depth there in certain positions that might be a little bit better. Where some guys might be playing for certain spots, especially for a team like them. Not that we don't have anybody, but it could just be something in the sense of when we look at our quarterback, second, third team offense, maybe versus some of the guys that they have. and even some of the when we see maybe some more of the backups defensively versus maybe some of the guys they might have a little bit more of an edge. So I'll go with Buffalo. I'll say they win by 6.
Nice. I think that at the end of the game, there's a good opportunity that Buffalo ends up winning this game, but I think it's because of their depth. Kyle Allen, versus Mitch Trubisky, that's comparable, but Matt Barkley versus Mason Rudolph, I think Mason gets the win there. But that running back position, they have James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray. I think that those group of guys going up against Anthony McFarland, I think Anthony McFarland has like a specific role, which is, certain down and distances, home run ability, right? I don't think he's like an every down back. And in preseason, they try to utilize him as an every down back. And so I can see that being an issue. But I think the Steelers have a bad taste in their mouth still from last season. A lot of these players are the same players that got completely smoked by the Buffalo Bills last year. So I think they got something to prove. I actually think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to start leading, come out and lead in the game. And then I can just kind of see the depth kind of take over from a offensive standpoint from the Buffalo Bills. But I think it's going to be close too. I think it's going to be somewhere around between, I say Buffalo wins by 3.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, not bad. I think really just the main thing is like seeing our defense, seeing our offense, just being able to just go head to head. I think really that's really the main thing that we want to see for the first quarter and a half. And I think if we can get a good takeaway from that, however the rest of the game goes, I think that we'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure. My thing is Tanner. Well, I don't know if Tanner Morgan's going to play, so Mason Rudolph might pull it off.
He could.
He might. He has something. He has something to prove. He doesn't have a long-term contract. He has this year, right? And there's no guarantees that he was going to even make the 53, especially after they picked up Tanner Morgan and whatnot. So, he has got something to prove. And he can pull it out. We'll see.
Yeah. So we'll end on this question from my guy Ron. He asks, "What are you both looking forward to seeing the most?" So Daniel, if there's one or two things that you can tell me before we call it here on the show, what are give me 2 things tonight that you're looking forward to watching.
The first one is just going to be the offensive trajectory. I want to see them continue and go off of what they did last week and still continue to look effective and it show that their chemistry is continuing to build. Defensively, I'm excited to see Joey Porter Jr. We haven't seen him yet. He's supposed to play tonight, so I'm excited for JPJ. What about yourself?
Yeah, I agree. I want to see the offense be able to go up against some of these guys that the Bills got for the first quarter or so, however they play. See if they're able to kind of duplicate a little bit of what they did last week. Just being able to see some consistency down the field, maybe a play here, a play there, that being able to push the ball more a little bit. Just a little glimpse maybe of what they're trying to do would be great. And defensively, just seeing some of the rookies again. Would like to see a little bit more of Quan Alexander, what he did last week. So I'd say just some stuff like that. Yeah, that I'm looking forward at. George says, hope we play good tonight. Go Steelers. Ollie says, always Steelers for the win, 33-13. Oh man, wouldn't that be something? But yeah, so guys, Daniel and I are gonna end it there. We're a little bit over an hour here. Hopefully all you guys in the chat enjoy the game tonight. Afton, enjoy going to the game tonight. But just shout out to all you guys in the chat. It's always good to see you guys each time. It's always good to see you guys consistently in the chat, putting thoughts out there and comments and supporting the channel, everybody. So next episode, whether that's going to be Tuesday or a different day possibly, or next weekend, because Daniel and I usually will do Tuesdays and Saturdays, but next episode will be on Daniel's channel, so check him out at State of the Steelers right there. Also check out his podcast does with his buddies, Drunk Turkey Show. If you guys are into any of the true crime or conspiracy kind of stuff, they talk a lot about things like that over there. So give that a shot. They've grown quite a good bit over the last year or so. So give them a check over there. They do a lot of good content. But other than that, guys, we'll see how this game goes. There's a handful of things to look forward to, be excited about. We're getting closer and closer to the season, which is great. Only one more preseason game after this, and it will be the stretch to week 1, which is very exciting. So appreciate all you guys. Thank you all so much for your support. And Daniel, we will see you on your show, possibly Tuesday, possibly Saturday, depending on what works out for both of us. And we will let everybody know in the YouTube community section on what's going on. So stay posted, guys. We will see you over at Daniel's channel next week to talk about recapping this game and then the final preseason game, guys. So thank you all so much. We will see you later.
Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we